I remember when I first watched Cloverfield and was terrified by the concept of cosmic horror. But that's nothing compared to this, baby! We play as Kaz McCleary, the most Scottish Scot in all of Scotland who can't go 5 minutes without calling someone a Kaz works on an oil tanker as an electrician who just started his worst shift ever.
I'm good with the lecky.
Seemingly loved by all our co-workers, yes, I shifted into first person, it's my review.
You fucking liability.
It's not long before we're called all manner of names under the sun by our boss, King Rennick.
You wee gobshite, you Ned prick. I am the fucking king.
And unceremoniously fired. Why, I hear you ask? I don't fucking know. You see, our man Kaz here is having some issues with the police back home, and so he needs to lie low, with a wife and kids to protect, and being more desperate to disappear than a pubescent teen trying to hide an erection in math class. I don't know what you want from me here. His buddy Roy gets him a job on the SSO You're Ready to Be Fucked. It's not long after this where things start to go downhill. King Rennick gets a call from one of the lads, Gibbo, who's operating the drill, telling him something feels off, and in his infinite fucking wisdom, King Rennick tells him,
You've got a fucking drill, so drill through it.
So we start to make our way to the chopper so we can foxtrot Oscar as our gracious king demands, and within 60 seconds of us reaching the spinny bird, we go arse over tea kettle as the rig shudders and we fall into the blue tinted McFlurry machine. Why isn't this one broken McFuckface? Thankfully, we're rescued by one of the lads, and with no real injuries other than a sore head, high cholesterol, and new ninja powers of mobility we've gained from our mythical Cthulhu, don't worry, we'll get to that, we're alive. After a couple of fetch quests, which I assume is the game being under the impression that we don't know how to pull a lever, we end up going under the rig via some catwalks, and that's where I first discovered our secret parkour abilities. But I've skipped a step. You see, Kaz doesn't seem to know how to run, which makes him as useful as a chocolate teapot. Actually, that's incorrect. Kaz only knows how to swim on solid ground. What the fuck did the developers use as inspiration for the running animation of this game, Phoebe from Friends? And yet despite this travesty, within about 5 minutes after falling off a 100-foot rig into the icy cold tundra, we've now turned into fucking Tom Cruise. You'd think that after a fall like that we would have developed a fear of heights. And yet here we are, shimmying across precarious beams, jumping across gaps as if they aren't suspended 100 feet over the ocean. Did anyone check us for a concussion? Did they? Fuck! Whilst under the rig, we get our first look at what happened to the drill, and it's not good. The rig has a new decor, tentacles, mysterious goo, and a semi-sentient biomass. Apparently our humanitarian overlord Cthulhu decided that our giant bathtub needed some feng shui. Whilst we start playing the floor is lava, but with higher stakes and less room for error, we're told that the drill hit something, and so we're tasked to help repair the rig before it comes crashing down faster than me attempting to play Operation after ingesting 2.5 grams of speed. Now, I want to take a moment to mention here that I've never played a game where being a glorified golf caddy has felt less monotonous. At no stage of this game did I feel bored, or that the pacing was too slow. And yet despite this, the list of perpetual tasks we have to complete in this game consists of interact with the fuse box, enter the lift and press up, speak to your boss Rennick, move towards the heli deck, interact with the brake lever, navigate through under rig restricted access, turn off the flaming vent, interact with the yellow release switch, reach the engineering access door, make your way across platforms, utilise the torch in dark areas, crawl through vents, and interact with ladders. I'll also add here that I do genuinely think this is a great game and I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. My commentary is purely to humorise some aspects of the game for enjoyment purposes, so put down the pitchforks! Let's talk about the atmosphere. The Bearer D oil rig we're on, which I've lovingly decided to call Reginald, is a masterpiece of atmospheric design. This pairs well with the game's sound design, where you're able to hear the creaks and groans of the metallic giant, which truly makes the atmosphere tense. Visually it's gorgeous, which I think is helped massively by being built in Unreal Engine 5. The beautiful visuals are made even better when it's time to traverse the inside of the rig on one of our many journeys back and forth, and we get to experience the emergency lighting when things inevitably go tits up. The monsters in this game are something Lovecraftian, made all the more horrifying when paired with the familiar. There's something that makes a game more terrifying when you're unable to fight back, and this game perfectly encapsulates this fear. There is no combat, and instead the game gives our character the agency to rely on pepper potting from vent to vent, utilising coffee mugs, wrenches and hard hats as distractions for whatever monstrosity you're trying to sneak past, as if they're an inspector for OSHA and you've been storing the grenades in the same place as the gas canisters because you like to organise alphabetically. The horrific creatures we encounter throughout our journey are few in number, which I think was the right choice from both a narrative and a gameplay perspective. Whilst Dead Space Necromorphs can make me jump more than my constant never-ending quest to repress my Tourette's whilst recording, you fuckers! There's something that I find quite detached about the enemies and therefore don't feel anything towards them. Here, however, the fact that each enemy we meet is one of our own crewmates turned Leviathan made me actually feel something during each encounter and made each one genuinely memorable. Regardless of the specific emotion I felt, just knowing who they were and the relationship between our character and theirs made the stealth sections feel more personalised and therefore more tense. I think that's a great credit to the writers, as the narrative elements and the dialogue in this game feel so human.
Cuz, mate, I'm not going to make it over the deck. I'm not feeling so good, pal. I think I need my insulin.
What? You're fucking kidding, Roy. Now?
Oh, I'm sorry to inconvenience you, Mr. Bloody Fit and Healthy. I tell you what, I'll have a little chat with my pancreas, shall I, and tell it to pull its socks up.
All right, fuck's sake. Could you not just eat some fucking jam or something?
Oh, bloody hell, the man's a medical genius. I'll get on the blower to Dr. fucking Spock and tell him not to panic. We've solved diabetes here.
It's fucking McCoy. No Spock. He was the point-eared cunt.
The narrative elements and the voice acting is certainly an area where this game shines. There's a sequence late in the game where one of our crew is too far below decks to meet us and uses the internal comm system to let us know. On its own, this wouldn't usually be anything largely impactful, but because the writers have done such a good job of building the side characters up throughout the game, it made the revelation hit me a lot harder than if it was someone we hadn't spent time with regardless of the duration.
Brody. Jesus.
As I've already mentioned, the game leans hard on stealth. Most of the game consists of us trying to repair the rig, but things just keep breaking down. Oh, and speaking of breaking down, during the first hour of the game, every time I unintentionally twitched, causing Kaz's unnecessary death, or even just traversing into a new area of the rig via a normally 3-second loading screen, my game crashed to desktop, and I'd have to relaunch more times than SpaceX with whatever the fuck it is they're working on now. Thankfully, that's where my gripes with this game ends, as once the crashing issue resolved itself, the game ran perfectly fine, until I was able to successfully go to a new area of the rig, and then I was greeted by the noise of a self-satisfied games publisher having implemented DEI into their latest release, and the name of the new area blowing up my screen as if I couldn't read Helvetica 12 point, and for some fucking reason, if I wanted to interact with an object, and this game's whole deal is a fucking to-do list, I can't until I drop that last piece of toast I'm holding, because on this floating fortress of freaks, Kaz is scared of getting a little jam on the door handle. My first encounter with an enemy was when I stumbled upon what looked like the result of a snowman and a centaur from Fallout having a baby, and their offspring was told by mum to separate the lights and darks. This mashup of shiny cottage cheese with pustules seemed attracted to the light in the machine, and was slamming its door as if it had swallowed its last quarter. This stealth section genuinely scared me, as every time this goop of petroleum jelly slurped past me, even when I sneaked to the staircase, somehow the pulp of preservative pus heard me, and to slide along the floor and up my arse. Like this cruise came with a complimentary colonic irrigation, except someone said stop after the first phase. And then there are the chase sequences. The moment when you wander around a corner thinking everything is fine, and then you hear some ethereal voice shouting, and before you, the face of Bo descends, faster than you trying to stand straight when you're pissing into a urinal in front of a mirror when you're drunk off your ass. All snark aside, Still Wakes the Deep perfectly captures the essence of horror. The atmosphere is engrossingly dark, the tension is beautifully unbearable, and the setting is both striking and terrifying. The developers have crafted an experience where claustrophobic interiors and vertigo-inducing exteriors coexist in eerie harmony, keeping you perpetually on edge. So if you're a fan of horror games that make you question all your career choices and prompt minor heart attacks, Still Wakes the Deep is a must-play. Just make sure you have a spare pair of pants nearby, you know, just in case. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed making something a little bit different than my usual content, so let me know in the comments what you thought.